for October 25th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. That will move on to roll call this evening. Please remember to state your current location for tonight's virtual meeting. Councilmember Dilg.
I am present in the city of South Lyon.
Thank you. Councilmember Kennedy.
Present, City of South Lyon.
Thank you. Councilmember Kibble.
I'm here and I'm in South Lyon.
Thank you. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Present, City of South Lyon.
Thank you. Councilmember Walton.
Present, City of South Lyon.
Thank you. Councilmember Richards.
I'm present, the city of South Lyon.
Thank you. I'm also present at City Hall in the city of South Lyon. Move on to the approval of city council minutes, October 11th, 2021. Councilmember Kennedy, go ahead.
Move the minutes. Support.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Move on to the approval of tonight's agenda. Councilmember Kibble, go ahead.
I'll move the agenda. I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Tonight, we have a special proclamation for our friends at the First Presbyterian Church celebrating 190 years in the community. So I'm going to take a moment and read that. Whereas October 30th, 2021 marks a milestone for the First Presbyterian Church celebrating their 190th year in the city of South Lyon. And whereas the First Presbyterian Church has been a welcoming and affirming congregation since its inception in 1831, when it became the first congregation in the city of South Lyon. And whereas the congregation has grown over the years from its beginnings as a wooden meeting house on 10 Mile Road to its current home, a brick building on East Lake Street, erected in 1883, that has been renovated and added on to throughout the years. Whereas the First Presbyterian Church has been and continues to be an important and caring part of the community, contributing to the spiritual and physical health of its membership. Now, therefore, I, Daniel L. Pelchat, Mayor, City of South Lyon, on behalf of the City Council and the entire community, offer congratulations to the First Presbyterian Church and their membership on providing 190 years of service and leadership since its founding. Very cool.
Absolutely.
All right. We will now move on to public comment this evening. Please remember that the public may speak at a council meeting upon recognition by the mayor. Public comment may only occur during periods designated on the agenda for public comment or public hearing. A person may speak for up to 2 minutes during each of the 2 public comment periods on agenda items or non-agenda items. Also, please remember to state your name and address, please. City Clerk Deaton, do we have anyone for public comment this evening?
We do not.
Okay. We'll move on to the discussion of downtown. And Nate, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. So the first thing I'll talk about is the farmers market. So this past Saturday, we had Art Day at the market. We partnered with the Cultural Arts Commission to have 5 or 6 different artists from the community. The South Lyon Fine Arts Society was there, as well as a few members from the Arts Commission. That was very cool. It really filled out the market, and they had some really great pieces that were on display. Next week will be the final week for the farmers market, so we'll be wrapping things up after next week. Over the course of last week, I had a meeting with Ramco Specialties, who is a manufacturing company in town. They're currently expanding their footprint in the city of South Lyon, so they'll be adding some additional manufacturing jobs in the city, which is great to see. They've informed me that they've expanded pretty significantly in the city, and because of that, they're looking to get more space. So I provided them with resources available through the county, as well as some background on an industrial facilities exemption that is offered through the state. The owners of Twisted Cork said that their grand opening was very successful. I mean, you know, the couple of times that I've been in there since they've opened, they said, you know, people have received it very well, and it's been a good thing for the downtown. So working on getting a ribbon cutting scheduled for them. Once that's scheduled, I'll let everybody know. And then if you'd like to attend, you can do so. Next is the downtown trick or treat event that is taking place this Thursday. Excuse me. It's taking place this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. There'll be a pet parade that will start at the farmers market lot at 7 p.m. People can register for the parade at 6:30. So once you're registered, you'll kind of gather in the market lot. The roads will be closed, and you can head up Lafayette, and the parade will end by the hotel, South Lyon Hotel. Another event that's coming up is Ladies Night Out. That will be November 12th. That goes from 5 to 9 p.m. The streets will be closed for that as well this year, from Lake Street to Whipple, kind of that on Lafayette. So that little portion of street will be closed off, and we're looking forward to having another great event. Also, the Cool Yule, excuse me, the Cool Yule Committee continues to meet. We had 2 meetings last week. One to kind of go over planning, and then we met with the Historical Society to kind of coordinate there and see how things are going with them. And finally, the alley that's been torn up at 106 South Lafayette Street. I know there were some questions about that at the last meeting. They're going to be having concrete poured there, I thought on Saturday. It was supposed to be 2 weeks ago, but due to the rain Friday night, the ground was too wet to pour. I'm not sure why they weren't able to pour over the weekend, but they informed me that the contractor that they're working with can only pour concrete on Saturdays. So maybe this next week they'll be able to get it in, but we'll see. So what's going there is just new concrete, and then the wood things you can see that are there are going to be some landscaping. So yeah, that's the update for me.
Nate, Councilmember Walton, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nate, I just want to say thank you to yourself and the former DDA director, Bob Donahue. About 3 years ago, I asked for the crosswalk at Witch's Hat, not Witch's Hat, in front of the hotel to be addressed. And I didn't follow up on it. I know Lisa has been very diligent in asking for updates, but back then when we asked for it, Bob did tell us it would take several years to get in place. So I see that you got it done. And I just want to thank both of you for following up, and Lisa for staying on them for that. The other thing that I would like to bring up is there's a couple of issues in town where the crosswalk doesn't go to anywhere. We have a spot off of Pontiac Trail at the Brown Sweet Parkway. If you could have that one looked into, you know, people cross over and they have no sidewalk on the other side. We really need a crosswalk down near the Witch's Hat Brewery. I know that it might not be everyone's favorite place, but there is a lot of patrons and a lot of people crossing there. It's very dangerous. There's no lights. And the other thing is that there's a parking spot on Pine Trail in front of the fire hydrant right by the farmers market that needs to be addressed as well. So if you could look into all of those things, please.
Okay, thanks. I'm just writing there. Yep.
Anyone else have anything for Nate tonight? All right, thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the fire chief report. And all right, Deputy Chief Weir, great to see you. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just a couple of things for you this evening. Wanted to let everyone know that the fire department will be downtown for the trick or treat from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, as well as out in the subdivisions for trick or treating on Sunday from 6 to 8. So if you see us, come on over. We got lots of candy to pass out for the kids, and I know the firemen love seeing all the different costumes. So The last thing that I have for you this evening is we took delivery of our new SCBAs. We are currently scheduling a train the trainer course and hope to have those in service shortly thereafter.
Great. Anyone have anything for Deputy Chief Weir this evening? Councilmember Kibble, go ahead.
I was just curious, were you guys involved in that incident on Dixboro last night?
We did get called, but we were canceled before we arrived.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there was an awful lot of vehicles. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Deputy Chief Weir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Move on to the police chief report and Chief Sobek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got a couple of things for you this evening. First of all, I want to recognize two of our officers for handling a barricaded gunman situation just recently, Officer Jake Jacobs and Officer Travis Stevens. I want to give you just a quick rundown of the incident that happened. Dispatched the 200 block of Longfellow to investigate an individual carrying a rifle walking around the area who had just pointed a rifle at his neighbor. The situation quickly turned into a barricaded gunman. They both performed very well under stressful conditions and operated extremely well as a team. Officer Stevens effectively communicated with dispatch, supervisors, and the assisting Oakland County deputies on scene. Officer Jacobs quickly built the rapport with the suspected armed individual and negotiated the incident to a peaceful resolution. Taking their safety as well as the safety of the deputies and armed suspect in mind, every step during the quickly evolving incident.
Chief, I think we might have lost your audio there.
That's too bad, too.
I know.
Congratulations to both of those officers and recognize them publicly this evening.
Hey, Chief,
Yes.
I'm sorry I just do this to you. Is there any way you could just back it up about 15 seconds? We lost your audio there throughout all that. I know that's tough. You had a live read going there, but I'm sure the community would like to hear what you had to say about it.
Do you want me to start over again or just?
You don't have to start back over.
Right after Jacobs had built the rapport with the person.
Officer Jacobs quickly built the rapport with the suspected armed individual and negotiated the incident to a peaceful resolution. Taking their safety as well as the safety of the deputies and the suspect in mind, every step during the quickly evolving incident was calmly made and executed to assure the incident had a positive and non-violent conclusion. This was at times a very tense situation with an armed schizophrenic subject who was not in touch with reality and reluctant to cooperate. They maintained a calm and professional demeanor throughout the incident. So congratulations to Officer Stevens and Jacobs for handling that situation.
Outstanding.
Second one we have is the Wigs for Kids is coming up in November. Wigs for Kids is, just to remind you, it's a nonprofit organization that provides wigs to children or kids who have been afflicted with diseases and they're not able to either grow hair or they have lost their hair for one reason or another, illness or sickness. The officers always donate money in the month of November, so we call it No Shave November. So that is coming up. And ladies, if you are interested, I've requested some smaller shirts this year, just so you know. Also, our officers, you may have seen some of our officers this right now, they have not shaved. So what we're trying to do is trying to raise money for a family in the South Lyon area. So the officers that did not want to shave or just donate money between the October 15th and the end of this month, and then all of December, all of that money that's going to be donated is going to be going to a family in need this year, whether it's going to be Christmas presents or food. So we're going to work with the local, probably Act of Faith, to see if we can provide some money, some assistance to some family that needs it for Christmas this year. As far as the generator project going on, they will be out November 10th. They already have the concrete pad already made. They're going to drop it into the area where they're going to put it on November 10th. December 8th, Consumers Energy is going to be coming out. We're going to be swapping out our half-inch gas line to an 1.5-inch gas line to accommodate that generator. And then December 9th, SPS will be out to run those gas lines from the meter out to the pad where they're going to be installed. Challenge coins have been a huge success. We've taken in $2,435 with the sale of the coins. They still are in demand, and we have ordered 100 more, so they should be coming out sometime soon. So looking forward to that. We will also be out citywide Halloween with our lights and out during the subdivisions from 6 to 8. We'll also be downtown taking care of the barricades for the incident for the kids this weekend. And also our DEA take back, our officers just dropped off 11 bags today, totaling 136.7 pounds of prescription medication. So it's been a pretty good, busy couple days for us, a week, but that's all I have for you guys tonight.
Chief. Councilmember Dill, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple quick things. I always look at the traffic warnings versus the citations, and I'm always very impressed with what I think is more just trying to help out than to stick people. But is 342 warnings really accurate this time?
No,
That
actually,
just seems.
it was 34, and somebody I thought I had corrected that.
I was.
Well, it's been a pretty busy week. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
It was 34. Supposed to be
Okay.
A lot of OT.
I know, I saw that. I was like, did we even have time for that? And then the other thing, I know this, I should have asked Deputy Chief Ware, but I noticed that they said they were getting coins too. Are they going to be the same coins, or are they going to be a different coin?
No, actually,
Oh, he's back.
Chief, Mike, do you
I can
want
pipe in if you. We did design a different coin. It has been
Okay.
ordered. I'm just waiting for arrival of it.
Okay,
But yeah,
great.
they had a fantastic idea, and we decided to jump on board with that. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all.
All right, great. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, could you please tell everybody who they make their checks out to for Wigs for Kids? Is it to the organization or to the police department?
Yes.
I know I'm a real strong supporter of this and would like to see more people get involved and support this incredible organization. And it helps the kids. So, you know what, we can all, forget about, half a dinner and maybe one drink instead of two when you go out to dinner, and put that extra couple bucks for a young kid that could really use the help. So
Yeah,
really make
actually,
the checks out to.
you can make the checks out to Wigs for Kids. You can jack them off to the South Lyon Police Department, or you can actually go online, and there's actually a link to our police department. If you want to make a donation through our police department, you can do that electronically as well. So Wigs for Kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything for Chief Sovic tonight? All right, great, Chief. Thank you. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move on to new business number 1, set CDBG public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, each year, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development provides funds to jurisdictions throughout the county for projects that meet their national objectives. Here in South Lyon, we receive funds from HUD via Oakland County. This coming year, our tentative allocation will be $27,487. Last year, the city designated the funds to be used for the Senior Activity Center and Haven. The 2022 CDBG application deadline for receiving these funds for the upcoming year is Friday, December 17th. Tonight, we're requesting to schedule our public hearing for Monday, November 22nd, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. This will be published in a local newspaper, which gives the opportunity for hearing public comments relating to allocating those funds in South Lyon. I've attached the notice for the public hearing and an area-wide benefit map. Possible course of action tonight is to schedule or not schedule the 2022 CDBG public hearing for 7:30 p.m. on Monday, November 22nd, 2021.
Councilmember Kibble.
I'd like to make that motion that we schedule the 2022 CBDG public hearing for 7:30 on Monday, November 22nd, 2021.
I'll support.
We've got a motion by Councilmember Kibble, supported by Councilmember Walton. Do we have any further discussion? City Clerk Deaton, could you please lead us in a roll call vote?
Kurzweil,
Yes.
Dilg,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Kibble,
Yes.
Pelchat.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Motion passes. Move on to new business number 2 this evening. Nyhart Actuarial Valuation. Patricia, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tonight, we wanted to discuss the interim valuation for our GASB 75 report. This is an annual requirement for the state of Michigan, as well as for our generally accepted accounting principles. This is done, coincides with our annual audit each year. So we did present the audit last meeting. So tonight we just wanted to spend a little bit more time to go over in detail if anyone had any questions about the valuation. So just as a quick reminder, the objective of GASB 75 is to report post-employment benefits, or what we call OPEB, for our employees and retirees. So basically we look at the covered payroll for current employees that are provided through the OPEB plan, and then any retirees that we have that are benefiting. So currently we have 45 individuals that this affects. For the city, we provide medical and pharmacy benefits. Other cities may provide additional benefits, but those are the two areas that we cover that are taken into consideration with the valuation. So essentially, GASB 75 requires that we report our total OPEB liability in the statement of our net position on our government-wide financial statements. So looking at the annual financial statements that were dated as of June 30th, 2021, that we provided at the last meeting, this would be note 9, which starts on page 32. And as a reminder, this was an interim valuation. So basically it's an update to the liability that was reported for the June 30th, 2020 annual financial statements. So we're rolling forward some information to get an update on that liability and just, refresh our numbers so that we're able to look at what is the amount of funds that we need to provide in the current fiscal year so that we can maintain a good net position and start supporting, these OPEB benefits that we need to provide to our employees and retirees. So we're pleased to report that based on this interim valuation that we are 25% funded, which is great because we just started the OPEB trust last year. So we started out with 0 funded. And so we're making strides to accomplish, covering those funds that we need. I don't know, we have Spencer Tawa with us tonight from Plant Moran to answer any additional questions that I might not be able to answer. Now, I want to make everyone understand that we have another outside vendor, Nyhart, who does the valuation for us. We had a 2-year contract with them. So they did the 2020 and 2021 valuation. So they're the ones responsible for the calculations. But of course, Plant Moran takes that information and incorporates that into our financial statements. So we asked Spencer to join us tonight if anyone had any questions that I might not be able to answer that relate to how this impacts our financial statements.
Councilmember Kurtzwell, go ahead.
Thank you. I had a question on page 3. And I did not know what it says the OPEB expense. I can only guess why we had an increase over 2020. Is that because we had more individuals drawing off of it? Or did we have the same amount of individuals, but the cost of what we were providing went up? I don't understand what prompted that increase in the expense side.
My short answer is yes to both of those, but Spencer might be able to give a little bit more detail as to what exactly goes into that calculation.
Good evening. Yeah, so really that calculation, it's a number of factors that goes into that. So there was a change in benefit terms this past valuation. So I believe one of the police divisions, now the retirees get 900 instead of 700 or something. And that increased the liability by 37,000 just this year. And that went straight to expense. So that contributed most likely to the increase in the expense. Additional things that go into the expense as well, though, it's a whole actuarial calculation though, but some of the items that would change year over year, they do get amortized over a number of years, and then you recognize an expense over, say 10 years. So it's kind of like your fixed assets or capital assets where you depreciate them over a certain amount of time and recognize that expense. So there's other factors that go into it, but the increase most likely was from the benefit terms this year that changed.
Well, then I'm just going to sort of throw this out here then. That benefit expense is not going to go away. So that's going to be with us, for a period of time. So if we want to get caught up on our funding ratio, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I would think that we would want to increase some contributions to that funded ratio, maybe this year, make another nice contribution to it. Because if we don't, then this increase that is happening over here in 2021 is just going to eat away at whatever attempts we are making to increase that funded ratio.
Yeah, so the actuaries should have accounted for that, because what they do is they look at your benefit terms and they project out in the future of, all right, here's your current members, here's what we expect to pay out, the city to pay out over the next 30, 40 years, right? When somebody retires, what's their payment going to be until they pass away or reach that Medicare age and their stipend stops. So they should factor it in there, and then they should increase your annual required contribution that they calculate to let you know, hey, here's what you should be making for fiscal year 2022, 23. They'll factor that all in there to account for this change in benefit terms. But it never hurts to put more money away. So I'll never say never do that.
Okay, I guess the point I was getting at is somehow that increase is being accounted for.
It is, yes.
It is. Okay. So that's being accounted for. So then our ratio should not change next year then. Say we don't contribute any money to it, our ratio of 25.7 shouldn't change.
All things stay the same. It shouldn't. In reality, it will, because again, this is all an estimate. They're projecting things out in the future. So, they're making projections of here's what retiree healthcare costs are going to be in the future. Like, let's just say next year, here's what we expect the city to be paying out. Here's when we expect somebody to retire to start getting that payment. And so that could be some of the adjustments that happen, but all things stay the same. If you hit your investment goal of, I think it's 7.35% here, that funded percent should stay relatively the same or decrease a little bit. Well, if you said not making contributions, then yeah, it would stay the same.
I assume they're adjusting for inflation.
Inflation is in there, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you, Spencer, for being here. Thank you, Patricia.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
We'll move on to the budget this evening. Anyone have anything on the budget tonight? Okay. At this time, we will open the floor for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address and the 2-minute time limit. City Clerk Deaton, do we have anyone that is up for public comment?
We do not.
Okay. We will close the floor for public comment. We'll move on to the manager's report this evening.
A few items, Mr. Mayor. At our meeting on November 22nd, we will have our yearly MERS presentation. At a future meeting, the Historical Society will be coming before City Council to discuss their future plans for placing a barn within the historical village. This week, we're interviewing for the new fire chiefs, so I will advise council at upcoming meetings regarding how we're moving forward with that process. We're still monitoring local state of emergencies and monitoring what's taking place through the county, the state, and the federal government as it relates to COVID. Additionally, our waste hauling contract, we've been working on the new RFP for our collection disposal of the solid waste contract. I'll be providing City Council with a copy of that proposed RFP within the next couple of weeks. As I mentioned, we were going to be expecting a contract extension letter from GFL, and we actually received that after I actually wrote this within the manager's report, and I did provide council members that copy. We are scheduled also to have a water rate increase. We have adopted option number 3 last year, where we increased our water and sewer rates. This year's rate increases in option 3 is scheduled to be approximately 6% for most customers within the city. It does begin on December 1st, and it would be billed as of April 1st. We've also discussed our last meeting also the cemetery grading. That work is going to be started this week out at redoing the new section 11. With a We Go swing has started for installation on site. As you go out there, you can see the excavation work as well as the fence that is out there surrounding that particular area. We hope that that's still installed by this fall. As we've been discussing for several meetings regarding our ARPA funds, we received our first federal ARPA fund distribution of $618,000, which represents 50% of the total allocated for the city of South Lyon. We do remind people that these funds can only be used for very specific purposes, supporting public health expenditures, addressing negative economic impacts caused by COVID-19 crisis, replacing lost public sector revenue to secure government services, provide premium pay for essential workers, and investing in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure to improve access to clean drinking water and to expand to broadband internet. We'll be having a meeting where we'll be talking about the use of those particular dollars within the next couple of meetings before the end of the year. And that's all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody have for the manager.
Councilmember Dilg, go ahead, lead us off. I see we got a lot of people with hands up, so we'll go in the order that I saw it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just would be remiss if I did not say something about the crosswalk since I have harped on you for so long. And just really happy to see it. And there's several members of the community who are really, really happy, including a woman that we all probably remember who worked for People's Express and came in a couple of years ago crying about almost hitting somebody there at the crosswalk. So she was really thankful for that. And I hope that it helps. And I hope that if it does, we will we'll look at some other ones in the future when we do budgeting again. But I just want to say thank you for following through with that and making sure that that got done. That's all. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Dilg. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Paul, I also would like to thank you in my assistance when I was posing questions to you and DPW on the crosswalk also. Some of us work a little bit more behind the scenes, and sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, but we're all on the same team. We're all accomplishing the same goals. I also had many people chat with me over the weekend. They were very pleased about it. I myself was down there on Sunday, and a lot of people were beeping the horn at me when they saw me, and I was testing it out. I did have some issues, just one issue, and that has to do with the tree that's right there by the hotel. Some individuals commented to me on Sunday that they thought the tree was a little bit in the way of the light, the blinking lights, but I didn't really think it was that bad because you have the blinking light on the other side of the road. What is your opinion of that?
Well, we did install that, and we knew there was, the tree that was located right there in front of the hotel. And when somebody is coming either north and south, it does blink on both sides of the street. So people do in fact see that. We have trimmed some of the tree, but we know obviously the leaves are there for a certain period of time. But we knew that it'd be something that we'd be looking at potentially addressing when we redo some of the streetscape, as well as the putting in new trees within the downtown. So that's definitely something we would look at, and we will monitor that.
Okay, thank you on that one. And once again, thank you for taking all my phone calls and answering the questions that people in the community had. Next, I'm going to stay on sidewalks. I kind of have been throughout the year. I think other people are too. I wanted to know what the status was of the Marjorie Ann Pontiac Trail sidewalk. I know there was a meeting today with the Lyon Township Pathway Committee. I couldn't make the meeting, a little bit tied up, but do you have a deadline in terms of when you think this would start, when it would some details in it. I understand that you've made some recommendations. Could you sort of that would enhance safety out there? If you could sort of talk about that a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, the crosswalk location there at Margarine and Pontiac Trail. Originally, the sidewalk was to go directly across the street as you go north and south. So it basically lines up with the existing sidewalk, but it kind of dead ends at the urgent care property. And then there was to be two crosswalks, one on the north side of Margarine and one on the south side of Margarine that crosses Pontiac Trail. And then there'll be signalization with that as well as the markings. What was proposed by the engineers that were working out was an alternative location to move the crosswalk across Margarine actually closer to Pontiac Trail. So it kind of did a jog almost. It turned, instead of going straight directly across, it turned to the left closer to Pontiac Trail center line, and then after it crossed Margarine went back. The individuals on the pathway committee did review that, and they agreed with the recommendation that I had was to have the sidewalk go directly across the street. It may cost a little bit more. We may have to make a modification to that agreement that the township and the city of South Lyon signed. But that is scheduled, the bid to be let sometime within the winter and for spring and summer construction, but it is predicated upon also a water main project that is being done there for the township. So we didn't want to excavate that particular area twice, installing the water main and doing all the restoration, or just installing the sidewalk and having to rip up part of it after the water main's done. So I'll update council as we move that process along, but we are scheduled to go out for bid within the winter months.
Okay, so I want to make sure people understand that if it's not going in now, and if it's not going to go in April, May, or June, it's, you know, don't blame the city of South Lyon, because there's another township, the township is involved, and they need to get their work done first. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that there's another party in here that needs to get that work done. I had heard about the water main. I didn't know if they were going to tag onto it at this time, but it sounds like they are. Is Leslie the engineer over there?
That's correct.
Is she on it?
Yeah, she's a township engineer and she's working on that project, and she's definitely on top of it and does have our interest at heart.
Yeah, no, Leslie's good. I like her. Would you have a problem if I called her and chatted with her?
I don't have any problems. If council has, questions or something, then maybe you can obviously advise or talk to me about what some of the concepts were or something, and then I can make sure that everybody is aware.
Okay, that'd be great. I mean, I just don't want to talk to people unless, I sort of let you know about it, and maybe I'll talk to you ahead of time. But
and if somebody would like a copy of those particular plans, I can obviously get those and include those within my next manager's report, so everybody can see exactly how the project works.
And how did they resolve the jog?
They decided that the sidewalk will just go straight across and join the two pieces. So that we feel that is definitely a safety issue, and they all concurred.
Well, you know what I thought was so strange about the jog is that I don't know anybody who rides a bike and jogs. Most people who are walking and riding are looking for straight pathways. So I guess I mean, it's just kind of common sense. So I never really understood the rationale of a jog when, most of your people, they're linear, they're straight. So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that got resolved.
And part of that project was that they were trying to reduce the cost of that project by eliminating the need to put in a specific culvert. And it was brought up a couple times regarding trying to make it safer for individuals, perhaps who for ADA compliance as well. So they looked at all those items and they discussed it at the meeting. And I was very thankful that they agreed that even though it is just a few $1,000s more per community, that it is a better resolve to getting that crosswalk installed.
And my last question deals, and we sort of talked about this. I just want to chat with you a little bit about it. I think you're doing a good job on a lot of these things in the city. My next question is on the scare fare machine.
The scare fire?
Yeah. I was actually out on the west side, Saugatuck, over Labor Day weekend. And every sidewalk that had a lip, you could tell had been ground down, everything. It was very smooth to walk on, and it was everywhere. So you had 10,000 people, you know, sometimes on a weekend traveling through that Saugatuck downtown area, and there were no problems. I spoke with about 5 business owners that had the grind down done. I noticed that we have this equipment too. How trained are the employees on this, and to what extent are they using this machine?
There are several of our DPW employees that are trained with the equipment, and we received that equipment just over a year ago through a grant through MMRMA. And the DPW employees are working and using that to scarify or mill down a certain sections where there is the elevation. We're working predominantly in high traffic areas as well as the downtown. And when we branch out for that, that's when we hope to, you know, one day go to subdivisions or other areas. But we figured the most important areas first, and then we move on from there. And it's all going to be based upon the ability for the employees to do that. That's kind of put on hold right now. They're working on leaves and other pickups. So it's a timing thing when you can do it and when you can't do it.
Well, the advantage of this particular machine and the advantage to the city is, again, as I was speaking to the business owners out in Saugatuck, is you don't have to rip up cement. So if you don't have to rip up cement, then you don't have to pour cement. And if you don't have to pour cement, then you don't have to worry about dealing with a cement issue or a sidewalk issue when temperatures drop between 45, 40 degrees. So they explained to me that this, you call it milling, they called it grinding, was taking place last March and April when the temperatures were very kind of cold. And they were able to just plow through some of these areas in their downtown. I mean, it's everywhere. It's by the public restrooms. It's by every crosswalk. So they had a lot of lips in that town. So somebody sat down and said, well, this is going to be the cost to replace the sidewalks, but you can do it cheaper. And so I think that's an advantage to this machine. So I would like to see the city, you know, given time, given whatever, to use it as extensively as possible, because it has a wider range of being able to work at in temperatures when they fall below 40, 45, which is your cement curing temperature time. So just wanted to get that out there. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Councilmember Kennedy, and then I'm coming to you, Councilmember Richards.
Okay.
Well, I certainly want to thank you and Doug both for the installation of the crosswalk flashing signal. You know, that's been on my list of CIP projects for 3 years. I think they did a great job installing it. Kudos to the DPW group as well. I certainly hope that it works out as we hope, so that we can expand its use in other areas of the downtown, like we've talked about for some of the other crosswalks in the future. The other thing is I am delighted to hear that Leslie Sawara and the township have agreed to extend the sidewalk straight across, like we talked about when we were out there on site looking at the you know, what they wanted to do and what made more sense to do. So even though it's going to cost a little more money, it makes a whole lot more sense, because just like Councilmember Kurtzwell said, you know, when people are riding their bikes, or you have people in motorized wheelchairs, they don't want to be making 4 90-degree turns to get across an intersection when they could go straight across. It just, I know where the point was to save a little bit of money, but you would pay for it over and over again in years going forward. So I'm delighted to hear that it's going to go down the way that you recommended. So that's absolutely great news. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Councilmember Richards.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Paul, I just want to mention, I'm going to limit it to 3 items, okay? And first I want to say, you're doing a terrific job, okay? There's so much complexity and variation in the things you're required to address all the time in the week. It's a miracle that anyone can accomplish as much as you do. I'm very pleased and confident that you're doing the very best you can. Now, with that said, the first one I want to bring up is concern is the We Go swing. Okay, all of us on council and in the city administration know what's going on with that, and we're all very glad to see it. But the yellow-orange barrier fences that have been put up and one thing and other visitors to the park and people with their children, they've mentioned to me, what is this all about? What's going on? They just don't know. If we could put a sign up there, something simple that says this is going to be a new swing for handicapped people, you know, and a few of the pertinent details, I think it would benefit everything. Also, since I saw the hole has been dug and what the exact location of it, I want to just caution you to make sure you tell the contractors and maybe HRC that water, surface water, runs through there. Tires make a huge imprint in the ground after any kind of water in that location because of the mixture of topsoil and shade in that spot. I don't personally think concrete will cure, not that thick a piece of concrete thoroughly, okay, in the 31 days time. Maybe we could pour that concrete on a slab or on rocks, just on gravel, uphill a little bit, and then drag it into the hole. It'd be more stable, in my opinion, and last longer, never crack, one thing or another. Moving on to the next item I wanted to bring up. We're all very concerned about what's going on with 110 Detroit Street, and you've written it up beautifully in your notes here. In conjunction with Lisa's efforts, does the Oakland County 21-day rule of response time by the defendant, okay, apply in this situation, especially when the last current owner of record is out in California, and they've switched it around different times. If it does or does not apply in this situation, how can we force them to answer the complaint or address it at all? I'm concerned about that. Certainly needs some teeth in it to move on with that. Okay, and the last one I want to mention, just I recently found out about something that's distressing me very much because I put so much time into it, and you just found out about it too. Doug Varney informed me that the Oakland County Health Department has shut down our project on Yerkes Drain with the Drain Commission. And I don't think HRC even knew about this, the best of my knowledge. But be that as it may, I hope something can develop on this that we can get all this cleared up and move that project forward. I know the detail. I won't go into the details. I'm sure you're aware of it and Doug's aware of it. And I was just blown out of the water to find out about this. I didn't know that Oakland County Health Department had the power to shut down a drain commission job on allegations of pollution that has never been confirmed. And that's all I'm going to mention on the questions. If you want to answer them, fine. If you don't, that's okay. I understand. Thank you.
Councilmember Kibble,
Go ahead.
I was actually wondering about this myself. How can we be held hostage to people that are just deliberately circumventing being served? Is there some point where we can impose ourselves on the situation, or do we have to? Yes, please, Lisa.
Sorry, City Attorney Amami, go ahead.
Yeah, we hired a process server that's serving her in California. In addition to serving her process, we're well, we have an appointment, we've had an appointment for over a week now with the Register of Deeds to record a notice of lis pendens, which is a notice that there is pending litigation regarding the property, so that any future buyer buys with that notice. So that was the reason we took this route, to avoid having to keep refiling dangerous buildings proceedings, and we'll handle the dangerous building process through the court system, having put everybody on notice of its pending demolition or repair, whichever the property owner decides to go.
Would they give us notice that somebody has filed or considered purchasing the property, where we might be able to serve them when they're trying to do a change of title?
We would have to add them as a necessary party to the lawsuit if the property changes hands during the pendency of this lawsuit. But they're buying the property with notice of the lawsuit. So I'm not concerned that we're going to keep having this issue.
You think that'll be enough of a deterrent for people to want to take possession of that?
Well, I don't know that it's a deterrent. I know that that the city manager's office has had people, or the building department has had people calling, inquiring about the property. I know that somebody who's inquiring right now would like to fix it up, which I don't think city council would have any problem with that. It's just a matter of getting it either fixed or demolished, and put an end to it.
Obviously, we would demand that to have some credible evidence that they were able to do that. But okay, that makes sense. I wanted to talk too about the scarifier. I think one of the things that I see as being its largest benefit is the fact that we're seeing an awful lot of sidewalks having to be repaired, that residents are having to pull their wallets open because the edges of abutting flags of sidewalk are offset enough where it does pose a danger. If we could end up limiting that and making them so that they're safe to traverse through, we're not getting into people's pockets so that they have to spend the money to get the permit to go ahead and do the extra work. If you have sound concrete already, you're really saving everybody a lot of money. So I'm hoping like crazy that we can, Doug might actually try to put a group aside that might be specialists in being able to get out there and take care of this stuff. So it just drives me nuts that we're hammering all the residents that want to do a good sidewalk repair, and then we end up kind of hitting them with a permit. Sidewalks aren't hard to do. So, and if they do a bad job, we can always make them do it again. But this is a solve that none of that ends up having to come into play. And lastly, I wanted to say that my understanding from talking to somebody about the crosswalk, I thought that the delay was because Lyon Township was reformulating where their budget was and what their priorities were. And I was concerned about that. So if you think that this is solid and the only impediment right now is going to end up being the installation of that main, that obviously you don't want to end up pouring something and then destroying it because you're digging a hole there, rather than because they didn't know if they wanted to end up pulling up the money for their cut of the action. Having gone through that with the school was enough of a pain to me, rather than having our township friends kind of turn a blind eye to our needs as well. So I'm grateful for that. I think that's all I had. Thank you, Bill.
Councilmember Kurtzwell, go ahead.
Yeah, Glenn brought up an interesting thing. I just want to get this clarified. May I address the city attorney?
Certainly.
Lisa, on the lis pendens, are you saying that the lis pendens is serving as notice in order to serve a lawsuit? Okay, that's okay. That needs to be cleared up. All the lis pendens does is just let a potential owner or anybody know that litigation is pending. That's all it does. It doesn't serve the lawsuit. You
Right.
still, you still have to serve the lawsuit.
And we hired a process server company in California that's doing that. If it hasn't already done that, we've gotten some feedback, so we have reason to believe they've served it. We're just waiting to hear back from the process server at this point.
Okay, two different issues in terms of notice. Okay, thank you.
All right, does anyone have anything else for the manager's report tonight? All right, thanks, Paul. We'll move on to council comments this evening. Councilmember Kennedy, how about you bat lead off tonight?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, I want to let everyone know that there's going to be a fundraiser at the Colonial Acres Clubhouse in Phase 5 on Jamestown Court on Saturday, November 6th from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. It's going to be open to the public. Admission is free. There will be refreshments, door prizes, a 50-50 raffle, and a silent auction with all kinds of great items to bid on. So make plans to attend on Saturday, November 8th and pick up some gifts for the holidays. Also, just another reminder that this Thursday, October 28th, will be the downtown trick or treat from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Also, there will be a pet parade held at 7 p.m. Registration begins at 6:30, and there will be registration bags and treats provided to the participants. There will also be prizes for the best costume and best couple's costume for the owner and their pet. So make plans to attend. It's going to be a great evening. I have the privilege of being one of the judges and look forward to seeing some of the costumes that will be rolling out there. So let's see what you can do. Finally, there's an election next Tuesday, November 2nd. Find out where the candidates stand on the various issues that are important to the city and its residents. Look at the voting guide that's been prepared by the League of Women Voters and the questionnaire that was prepared by the South Lyon Herald for information about the candidates, or at least those candidates who thought it was important enough to take the time and make the effort to complete those questionnaires. This information is available online at https://www.vote411.org, and copies are usually available at the Salem South Lyon District Library as well. The South Lyon Herald information is available online at southlyonherald.com. And as a note, the people you elect at the local level often have greater impact on your daily lives than those you send to Washington. So I encourage every voter to know who they are voting for and to make that selection based on the candidate's qualifications, not just the number of yard signs they might see for that particular candidate. And as always, the best voter is an informed voter. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Kennedy. Councilmember Dill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to say about the election, I just want to say good luck to all the candidates, people who are sitting on council and people who want to sit on council. Just good luck. It's been a good campaign season. Hope that the residents, like Steve said, get out and vote. Please vote. I know on off-year elections, we don't get as much turnout, so I'm really hoping that everybody's either doing their absentee voting or getting in there on the day of. And I believe this is Councilmember Walton's last full meeting. So I wanted to say thank you for all your service. I hope we keep seeing you around town and doing good. I just want to make sure we got that in before the end of the meeting, because I think next week we probably won't see you the whole way through. I want to say congratulations to South Lyon High School football team for their undefeated season. Really exciting, and good luck in the playoffs. This is going to be a fun ride. I think that they have a good chance to go far. I also want to congratulate the First Presbyterian Church for their 190 years. I'm not a member, but I've always been really pleased with their community service and their acceptance and welcoming of everybody in the community. And I also want to say congratulations, Twisted Cork. I was there on their opening day. It is gorgeous inside. They've done a wonderful job. And just very excited about the downtown trick or treat being back. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dill. Councilmember Kibble.
I agree with that whole idea. The notion of being out for trick or treat and actually intermingling with other people is a real joy to see it coming back. Essentially, I just thought the work that had been done over at Liberty, I'm really grateful that worked out as well as it did. The lion's share of most of the bumps and things that are taken care of, and it looks as though that's going to have life for us for quite a long time. So that project turned out really to be terrific. And to the election, I think that it's really important that people help decide who's going to end up representing this community, and get out and vote, because when you see in the news all the efforts that are being made to kind of snipe people from being able to get to the polls, making it more difficult for people to do their good deed for the country in making decisions on who are going to be the leaders of the governments. I think that it's really important that people step up and take advantage of that right. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Councilmember Kivel. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
First of all, I too would like to congratulate the First Presbyterian Church on their incredible anniversary. I would encourage everybody to get over to the church. They're going to have an open house, and look at that incredible stained glass window that they have in that church. It is absolutely stunning. It is historical, and we are so gifted as a community to have that piece of artwork in our community. The stained glass in that church it's breathtaking. So please, if you do anything, go and enjoy the incredible stained glass at the church. Second, Councilman Kennedy said that the event at Colonial Acres was you ended up saying November 8th. I think it's on November 6th. That is on Saturday. That's what my records have, is November 6th on Saturday. So,
yeah.
It's going to be a good time. I plan to be there. It'll be very, very well attended. Next, I had an opportunity to speak with Linda Ross regarding a historical barn that is going to be coming to South Lyon. As everybody knows, Linda is just this incredible president of the South Lyon Area Historical Society. I can hardly wait until this actually occurs. I don't have a whole lot of details, so we're pretty lucky to have Linda Ross and her team on the society for what they're doing and what's going to be an absolutely incredible event. If you have ever been to a barn raising, it is phenomenal. It is just a great event. So stay tuned, get ready for next year for a once in a time, lifetime experience going to a barn raising. We don't have too many barns left in this country, and so we should be thankful that we're getting one right here in South Lyon, which our roots, as a matter of fact, are agriculture. So let's enjoy our heritage. And last, on the elections, South Lyon has always had incredible access to the polls, so that's never been an issue. Our voters have always been able to come to the polls freely without intimidation, like what went on in the TCF Center in Detroit. So we have very peaceful elections. Additionally, I think there's a point that people need to understand. 72% of Detroit's precincts did not balance on the night of the election. In the city of South Lyon, all of our precincts balanced. That speaks volumes for our city clerk and her ability to run very, very good, honest, clean elections. So if you're a voter out there in South Lyon, you want to be proud of the community that you live in, because we know how to do elections and we know how to do them fair and right. Additionally, for those of you that are voting by absentee ballot, we're not going to have a repeat of 2020. It's your responsibility to get that absentee ballot to City Hall. You can mail it if you'd like, but the mail is running slow. So don't put your ballot in the mail on Saturday thinking it's going to get to the city by Tuesday, because it probably won't. Your ballot will not get counted if it is not in City Hall by the time established by statute, not the Secretary of State, but by election statutes in the state of Michigan. So please be a responsible voter. If you want your absentee ballot counted, get it into City Hall, walk it in on election day. Other than that, choice is yours. I'm not supporting anyone during this election for city council. Letting the voters decide who they're going to sit for the next couple of years. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Kurtzwell. Councilmember Richards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to request 1 minute, but I may not need it. 1 minute extra.
Does anyone have a problem with Councilmember Richards asking for a minute extension? Thank you. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, first of all, I want to reiterate what others have said about the Presbyterian Church. They've been a marvelous stabilizing factor culturally and historically in our community. I'm a member of the Methodist Church, but most of the family I came from were all members of that Presbyterian Church. And the people there know me quite well, and I talk to them frequently, and their efforts in our community are just wonderful, okay? And they're on top of things. And I wish them the very best. Now, moving on, I want to bring up our historical issue here. Last Sunday, yesterday, was the last opening of the museum scheduled for this year. There is no opening on Halloween, the 31st. There may be 2 openings in December. That's later to be determined. Linda and her Vice President Vicky will be determining that. Now, with relationship to the barn issue, we need some people with metal detectors to find our stakes. Somebody knocked them down or whatever, but the steel stakes that laid out the location for the barn that's been agreed with the committee from the Parks and Recs and engineering has we've lost the location. It's easy to find them with a metal detector. It's very shallow in the ground. Also, moving on, the gardening will be closing down. There's be 2 more weeks of that. Now, in the relationship to the barn, it's in the works that we're going to bring in a portable sawmill to cut the real oak, some logs up to augment the resurrection and structuring of this barn that we're going to be making. Now, we're talking down the road, okay? But I think that's going to be a wonderful experience for people to see. And there's plenty of oak trees that'll be fine for stock in this community. Moving on to the next one, just let everybody know our Ileco's Deli restaurant out in the plaza out on past 9 Mile has closed off their lobby. They open up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and everything goes out the back entrance, okay? They have their deli entrance using the back area behind the building. Next one, I want to correct myself. I know I've made statements and I was incorrect about the tube mill abatement. I said it was over next year. I was wrong. The tube mill abatement goes to June 20th or 30th of 2025, the current abatement. And I apologize for being incorrect, but I'm correcting it now. And I urge all civic-minded people to get out and vote. And we've got a wonderful election coming up and a great selection of candidates. And I hope that we get a good turnout and we get good weather for this coming election on next Tuesday, and Tuesday after tomorrow. And I'm sure that our government is going to be stable and continue on with a great team. Now that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Richards. And Councilmember Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Lisa, for your kind words. It is kind of an interesting feel to be sitting here tonight, knowing this is my last meeting. There's so many things I still want to be involved in, and I will be involved in. The First Responders Bell, our upcoming holiday spectacular, formerly known as the Cool Yule, Ladies Night. You know, I'll be around. So for sure, lots going on. I believe this weekend is our last weekend at the market. So I look forward to going to the market each week. I'll be kind of sad that it's ending for the season, but get out there and join the market this weekend. Other than that, I don't really have a lot to say tonight. So thank you very much for the last 4 years. I look forward to everything that you guys accomplish in the next 4 years. You've got a great team here. And I think that whoever joins you will do a phenomenal job as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Walton. I will start with thanking Councilmember Walton for her 4 years of service in the community. Thank you. It's been a little bit of a wild ride for all of us the last 2 years. So we look forward to seeing you around town. So I do want to mention, of course, we've got a great week of football coming up again. The South Lyon Lions completed an undefeated season Friday night against South Lyon East. If you were able to make it out, I don't think we've had that many folks at the Jungle since probably '95. It was packed. It was a great environment, a very healthy rivalry game. The Lions they've got a very talented team over there this year. Kudos to South Lyon East. I don't know if a lot of folks know this, they kind of play over their head all year in our division. They are a Division III school, and they actually got into the Division III playoffs at 3-6 because of their quality wins earlier. So now they got a tough draw. They're heading out to Mason, and Mason is a good football team. But Friday night, we'll have both of our high schools playing in the high school football playoffs. That's really all you can ask for at the start of the season. And then, of course, we've got the big game Saturday in East Lansing between the Wolverines and the Spartans. And so it should be a really great week of football here in the community. And now we just need the weather to cooperate, because it seems like that nasty fall weather seemed to show its ugly head. So that's about all I have tonight. So with that, I will not be looking for a motion to adjourn. I'll be looking for a motion to go into closed session this evening. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you. I move to go into closed session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268 parenthesis H, to consider attorney-client privileged communication.
I'll support.
City Clerk Deaton, could you please lead us in a roll call vote?
Sure. Kibble,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Dilg,
Yes.
Kurzweil.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think I might have been left off of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Mayor Pelchat.
Yes. And then forgive me for this, City Clerk Deaton, could you also remind any of the folks following along at home the process here and how we can ask them to leave the room and then re-enter once we're done?
Yeah, so when we go into closed session, I'm going to stop the recording. I ask that everyone besides our attorney, mayor, council, and our finance and human resource person, Ms. Tiernan, stay on. So if everybody would like to leave the meeting, if you want to rejoin, you can always click on the link later, and you'll be sitting in a waiting room until we go back into open session.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so I'll stop the recording now. We still have a few people that haven't gotten off yet. And I'll unlock the meeting. So we're all set back into open session.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kurtzwell, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to move to approve the recommendation of the city attorney as stated in the attorney's letter dated October 20th, 2021.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? City Clerk Deaton, could you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Richards,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Kurzweil,
Yes.
Dilg,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Kibble,
Yes.
Howchat.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kurtzwell?
Thank you. Does the mayor prefer a motion to adjourn?
Yes, please.
Move to adjourn?
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yep, good night.